What is up, guys? How we doing? Final Destination Bloodlines. Finally got it. My first steel book. I'm hoping to start collecting these. If you live under a rock like I do, I didn't even know these existed until like 5 years ago. Basically, what it is it's a collector's limited edition version of the DVD. So it's a metal case. This that usually has more artwork. As far as artwork goes, this one's a little plain. And then it comes with the 4K Ultra DVD, the Blu-ray DVD, and a digital copy. And then has artwork in it. Without the discs, you see the skyline exploding and whatnot. And yeah, my first steelbook. And this is actually the first time that I've watched a 4K movie on a 4K player on a 4K TV. Because if you buy a 4K movie digitally on a 4K TV, you're still getting 4K. But watching an actual physical disc with a 4K player has a higher bit rate. So you actually get a little bit better quality. And if you're not a nerd like me, you might not be able to tell. But I actually could tell. It actually looked really good. But anyways, the movie itself, you know that I have been anticipating this for a long time. And, well, I quite literally grew up on the Final Destination franchises. And the second one came out, like, I'm not sure, when I was like 8 or 9. And that one scared the absolute shit out of me. The elevator scene in the second one, you know, really messed with me and continues to mess with me to this day with elevators. Anyway, I'm gonna get into spoilers. This is just my opinion on the movie. You may have a differing opinion, and that is okay. Final Destination Bloodlines. I quite liked it. Actually, I really did. I came in here with very low expectations. It's the 6th installment in a franchise. It's been 14 years since we got in the last one. And, you know, I do like the idea of the fact that we get a little bit of a spin on the lore, that this is about a family that was never supposed to be born. And, yeah, I like that premise alone and the spin on it. I was hoping to get a little bit of added lore, but let's dive in. Opening sequence. Now, that's one of the biggest things about Final Destination movies is the opening catastrophe. And what I like about 1, 2, and 3 are those are all very normal, everyday things. You know, plane accident, car accident, and a roller coaster accident. Which the third one messed me up on roller coasters too. And then, you know, we got 4 and 5, which 5 had a bridge collapsing, 4 we don't talk about, and this one was a skyrise. I didn't like that being up in a skyrise restaurant isn't really, I would say, an everyday situation, but for an opening sequence, it wasn't bad. And I do like the difference of, you know, after all the gore and everybody's killed and whatnot, instead of it going back to the person that had the premonition and, you know, seeing them get out of there, it goes to our main character of the movie. I like that. We're starting off a little bit differently. And as far as the opening sequence and the kills go, there weren't too many awesome kills, but there were some good ones. You know, the elevator coming down on the old guy. The big thing I was worried about with this movie was CGI blood, and there definitely is a lot of CGI blood in here, but the kills, man, the kills in this movie are pretty incredible, despite it being CGI. I actually don't know how to pick a favorite, because I had 2 that I'm going back and forth with that are my favorite kills of the movie. All the kills, I think, are pretty well executed here. And also with this movie, so every other Final Destination movie does not have good character development, I wouldn't say. Aside from, like, the main person or the main two people that are usually trying to go around and save everybody's lives. This movie actually does a good job with its characters. Aside from the blonde that gets killed by the dumpster, the dump truck, the characters are actually strong. They actually have some, not, I wouldn't say depth, but you do feel bad for them when they're getting killed. They don't just exist to be killed, you know what I mean? Like Eric and I think Bobby was the other guy, their deaths were very impactful. Like everybody's death was like, I think the characters we got here were actually pretty strong. And you can't say that about a lot of the Final Destination movies. Another difference in this movie is, like I said, in every other Final Destination movie, it's one or two people going around trying to save everybody. And this, you have a whole family that's going around believing it. Like, yes, they go with the trope of not believing it at first, but once we get a few bodies that pile up, everybody's on board. And all the other ones, like, you know, nobody believes them, and then they die, and then we're on to the next one, and he doesn't believe them, then they die. And then the two people, you know, that were the developed characters, it's their turn, and do they escape it, do they not? And no, you got the whole family in on it, trying to stay away from death. So I enjoyed that aspect of it, too. And the Tony Todd scene in here, loved it. R.I.P. Tony Todd. You're a national treasure, my friend. And, gosh, he's done such great work. He did such a good job voicing Venom in the Spider-Man 2 game. And his scene in here, not only does it carry so much emotional weight with the words that are being said, knowing that he passed away right after filming this, but to tie it in that this entire time, this character that's been in every single movie except for was actually part of a premonition is awesome. And, yeah. The kills, the characters, all cool. And, there is a little bit of predictability to the movie. I did figure the little shit at the beginning throwing pennies off the building would have something to do with it. I knew some way, somehow, his family was going to have some type of impact at the end. Honestly, just throw the boy off the building, you avoid the whole movie. Am I terrible for saying that? I don't care. Just throw the boy over, whole movie doesn't happen. Also, the kills are a little bit predictable. And that is one thing that Final Destination started losing after the third one. The first three are all about, oh man, this is getting set up. You know, like especially the first kill of the franchise. Oh, he's clipping his nose hairs. How is he? You're guessing how they're going to die, right? And not a lot of kills in this movie keep you guessing. You kind of, unfortunately, the trailer reveals a big one, and then, you know, all the rest of them are kind of they just happen. Like the one with Eric and Bobby is kind of predictable with the machine, with the CAT scan machine being turned on and being magnetic. There's not a lot of like guessing and subverting expectations with the kills, and some are gonna think that's a bad thing, and I think that's a bad thing. I mean, that's what made Final Destination so tension filled, is, you know, we're setting this up, but nope, this is actually how they die. And even though the kills are gruesome, I do wish they would have done a better job of crafting how they were going to die. The only kill they really do that with is the kill we get in the trailer, and unfortunately the tension isn't there because the trailer ruins that moment. And that's what made 1, 2, and 3 scary. That's what made them horror-filled. And so then you got to 4 and 5, and they kind of lost that and more leaned into how graphic can we make the kills, and to where it started to feel more campy. And that's why 1, 2, and 3 I just don't think are ever going to be replicated. And I would say this one does fall into the category of 4 and 5 of fitting that campy style. So, because of that, I don't know where it's going to land on a ranking. It definitely does it the best, but I do prefer the execution of the kills, even if they're not quite as gory, with the horror being the tension of how someone's going to die instead of how grisly can we make it. But, yeah, they do a good job of making you care about the characters. I think you get strong characters. I think you get good deaths, and I think this is a good entry to the franchise, honestly. I'm going to do a ranking next week because I don't want to overhype it and say that it's definitely the best one since 3. Fans of the franchise seem to be divided on what their favorite one is, 2 or 3. Like, spoilers for, like, the ending of, like, all of them if you don't want to hear anything about any other movies. Skip forward about 2 minutes. I am in the camp of all of them should die. I like the ending of you can't escape death, it comes back around, and on the third one, they did that. And the second one, somehow the characters survived, and in the first one, 2 characters survived. Then in the second one, we get a shitty, the original guy just died by a brick falling. So much disrespect there. And then the legacy character dies, but in the second one, as far as to my knowledge, the cop and the girl live. But in the third one, they made the decision going forward, no, everybody dies. Now, one thing that bothers me a little bit is they even reference Michelle from the second one in this movie and say that she was able to escape death because she flatlined and then came back too. But in the second one, she passed out the same way the character does in this one. And passing out due to being underwater is not dying. So, just like the ending we get in this one, should have been the ending to the second one, in my opinion. So I don't see how they lived in the second one. And honestly, if they would have died, I think hands down number 2 would be my favorite. But right now, I really don't know. So I'm going to think on that one for the week. And it's really good. It is in the camp of the 4 and 5, though. I would say 1, 2, and 3 do a lot more on focusing on it being a horror movie. There's not a lot of comedy. There's a little bit of comedy here and there, but 4 and 5, there's a distinct difference. That it's less of a horror movie and more about being a dark comedy with over-the-top kills, kind of like The Monkey. Yes, to some this is a horror. It's still a horror movie, but 1, 2, and 3 focus more on the horror elements, scaring you, making you uncomfortable, while 4 and 5 are more about how graphic can we make these kills, And 6 is in that camp with 4 and 5, I would say. I wouldn't say that the tone of this one is on par with 1 through 3. And it works with this one. It works with this one a lot better than it did in 4 and 5. Do I prefer the tone of the first 3 and it being more horror-esque and more creepy? Yes, but at the same time, I do love me some just over-the-top cartoonish kills. The monkey I loved, and this movie is great. Now the ending of this movie, I absolutely love it. Because I was right. Somehow the boy ended up playing a part. I'm guessing the old woman was his mom, but because she wasn't there, I don't know. Because it couldn't be his daughter, or death would be coming for her too. So I'm guessing that the old lady was the boy's mom. and we never see his parents in the premonition, so it would make sense that she wouldn't get killed. She probably lost him and started keeping coins. I figured that would come to play at some point. But the ending, since I'm in the camp of pro kill them all, when they thought for whatever reason that after saving the main character and, you know, her passing out due to being underwater and whatnot, I'm pretty sure 99% of people watching understood that you passing out due to drowning and then being, like, you know, resuscitate, like, that's not flatlining. That's not your heart stopping to beat. That is oxygen, you know, being cut off to the brain, therefore you pass out. And if you get air in the lungs, get oxygen to the brain in time, then your heart doesn't stop. So I think most people knew that when watching this, so I was worried for a second that they were going to try to get us to believe that was flatlining and then have a happy ending, but I'm so glad they went in the direction that they did. No, that's not flatlining. Your heart was still beating. But it wouldn't have even mattered, because even if she did flatline, what they don't seem to realize in the movie is that if you do cheat death, it just skips you and goes to the next person. They keep thinking that if one person cheats it, then everybody else is safe, but we, the audience, knows, no, it just skips to the next person and then comes back around to you. So I love that, yeah, the final scene of the movie is both the characters dying with a log truck. With a log truck. Mwah. Some people will say it's too on the nose. I think it's beautiful. And, but again, all the deaths, you feel something. You look back at Final Destination 2 and 3, right? You don't really care about any of the characters. They don't do a good job of building up any characters in any of these movies other than the first one, I would say. And so, since the first one, this is our strongest set of characters, in my opinion, and I think all the actors did a good job. So, the deaths carry more weight. You're more into the characters. You got a little bit of change in lore. You got good kills. Everybody's on board with the idea instead of it being the classic, I don't believe you, now I'm dead. I thought they were going to go that route, and then, you know, they all came together. And I don't know what to nitpick here. Some of the deaths were a little bit predictable. I hate that they ruined the lawnmower scene with the commercial. Because when that glass goes into that cup, normally, if you haven't seen the trailer, then you're wincing like, oh God, at any point somebody's going to drink that. Every time somebody takes a sip, you're like, you know. But in the trailer, they ruin that moment because they show the guy step on the glass that has no blood on it. So, unfortunately, the trailer kind of ruined that scene. So when everybody's sipping the water, you know nobody's going to get the glass in the throat because you know it ends up on the floor, stepped on in the trailer. They ruined that moment. But they didn't show many of the other moments, I guess, because I do think the other death scenes were better. But that was a very tense moment and could have been that was ruined by the trailer. That is a complaint that I have. And like I said, there are some predictable moments in here. And it's interesting, like, that just every action has a consequence. Like, if the main character doesn't show up, then the dad doesn't get off the trampoline to walk towards or to step on the glass. If Eric doesn't, you know, put Bobby in the room and screw up with the vending machine, then none of that happens to them. So it's like, at what point are the characters causing their own demise, and is that playing into Death's plan that Death knows they're going to make these decisions leading to that? That must be it. Yeah, okay, I'm probably overthinking there. But look, man, I mean, I know I'm riding the high of just watching it, and this is the first Final Destination movie in 4 years, but I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5, and I absolutely loved it. I thought the characters were good. The opening sequence was a little bit of a letdown, but I still thought it was good. I think the character that plays, what was her name? Loris? No, it wasn't that. Damn it. I'm so bad with names. The character in the beginning that has the premonition, the old lady, I loved her character for the short time that we get her. You know, I see you, you fucker. And yeah, and literally sacrifices herself to show her granddaughter that, like, I thought she was a badass character. And a tragic character nonetheless, because she escaped death for decades to protect her family, just for her entire family to die in the end. And again, made you feel for her, because now you know she lived such a long life of tragedy and whatnot. And they just do a good job of making you actually feel for these characters in this movie, and not a lot of Final Destination movies do that. So that's one thing that I was really impacted by. And the deaths, all great. The ending, in my opinion, great. I think there will be differing people on that. Some people want a more hopeful ending, but I don't think you can cheat death. The tie-in to Tony Todd and his final words, you know, and I think this movie is solid. I think it's definitely in the top 3 for me. But I am going to think very hard for the next week on where it lands and do a ranking next week, because it is up there. It's definitely better than 4 and 5. I see a lot of people putting it with 5, but the elements that I talked about the strong characters, everybody actually being on board instead of this just being, hey, well, let's go and save this person. Nah, I don't believe you. Dead. Let's go and save this person. I don't believe you. Dead. And all of them actually, like, walking around. And I love the scene where she's like, I don't know, you know, like, how would a soccer ball to the face kill me? I don't know, like, you know, the rake could fall, it could make him blow the leaves into the face, and then everything exactly like that played out to kill that one character. I think it's pretty good. Pretty damn good. Definitely better than 4 and 5. I do like the tone of the first 3 movies more than the last 3. But the kills were great. And good movie, man. Good movie. And I'm happy that this is my first Steelbook. And totally want to start collecting these things. I think they're awesome. Just a little metal case. I know that the art on this one is a little bit underwhelming, but usually they have art out the wazoo on these. I'm hoping to get the Steelbook for 28 Years Later and Together and Weapons if they have them. But I genuinely believe maybe one day these things will have value. If not, it's just a cool thing to collect. But, like, look, we're entering an age where movies are digital, and we imagine a future where we don't have DVDs. I absolutely see things like this having value, for sure. But yeah, absolutely. It was awesome. It was so crisp and clear. It looked really good, and I loved it. 4 out of 5. And, yeah, I mean, it really is just such a good tie-in. I've watched all the other 5 throughout the last couple months preparing for this, and, like, it really does a good job of celebrating the franchise, I think, as well as adding to it. It doesn't really change a lot about the lore. I'm talking too long. I love you guys. If you haven't seen this movie, go check it out. If you already have, you know, let me know where your opinion lands. Also, this comes with a digital copy. I have no interest in downloading it because I have the disc. If somebody wants it, I'll give it to you. If that's how it works, can I just give you the... Yeah, I sure as shit can. So, if one of y'all want it, then just comment down below and I will totally give it to you, because I have no need for the digital copy of this. So, love you guys. Thanks for watching.